Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. My name is Siva, and I'm joined by Sam. Game week 11, Sam. And once again, this continued thing where you don't own Haaland and he just keeps not doing the points keeps working for you. Huh? And now he's even blanking in Champions League.
I know, right? Penalty, who would expect? And what a horribly taken penalty as well. The curse is working, Siva. All because he told Arteta to be humble.
I mean, yeah, that since then, right? This man has been true. He has scored one goal since that comment in the league, anyway. And it, I mean, did you see the Sporting game? Because I found it very weird. Like it's just City again, a lot of chances, a lot of XG, but it's just not happening for them right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, stats-wise, Haaland is still doing the business, right? Like, insane amount of XG. I think the most XG any player has got in the past 4 weeks, the most shots on target, and it's just, some black magic stuff is going on. He just can't seem to score.
I mean, since game week 5, no player has more XG than Haaland in the entire league.
So, Siva, I feel like all this is set up just so that you can say, yeah, I sold him.
You would think that, right? But no. See, I've held on to him, and here's why. Let me show you why, right? Okay, so you got on the screen, you can see Haaland's run of form, and I think a lot of people's frustration is because if you look at this chart that we have on the screen now, is they bought him in game week 6, and that's when the blank started.
For those who started with no Haaland, right?
Yeah.
And you just
I
know
bought
the
him.
moment you sell him, he will start scoring again.
Yeah, because what we're talking about here, we're still talking about one of the top 3 teams in the league. Yes, things have looked bad, but De Bruyne back on the bench midweek. You would expect probably 30 minutes this weekend, maybe more. We don't think of Brighton as a strong defense, home or away. I still feel like this is not a place where I want to sell. And maybe this is the wrong analogy to draw, but a lot of people don't have Salah for all these hard fixtures, right? Where Salah scored against Chelsea, scored against Arsenal, and the reason is because these are hard fixtures. But you and I discussed this like a few weeks ago. The nice thing about premiums is they're meant to be fixture proof. A good premium is worth their price because they can haul in any fixture. So, yeah, he's been bad in these fixtures, but he's not been so bad in the sense of he's not getting chances. You can argue to a large degree some regression, sure, but it's also unlucky, right? The Bournemouth game, I mean, he has a chance from like 6 yards out. Same thing against Southampton, should have scored a hat trick. Like, the more people sell, and this is probably, I don't know, this is not sunken cost fallacy. This is like bottom of the ocean fallacy at this point, because as far as I can see, nobody else owned this guy. But I'm so tempted to hold on to him because the more people sell him, the more I want to keep. And I feel like that haul is it just logically this guy can't keep blanking. His stats are good. At some point, it's gonna tick. I don't think this is sunk cost fallacy. Like I feel like there is some validity to me just holding on.
Yeah, I think it's not sunk cost fallacy because the stats back up that he's just underperforming, and you would expect him to, catch up with his stats, right? So, yeah, like I always said, I don't think having Haaland has ever been a bad FPL move. It cannot be a bad. It's just what you do with the remaining funds. I'm happy not owning Haaland because he has blank, but also I have used the funds wisely. Do you know what I mean? Like we said, was it last episode? You could have gone DCL instead of Wood, and it wouldn't have made a difference whether you had Haaland or not. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends. How are you getting with all this extra money?
Okay. I mean, we're gonna keep having this conversation every week, but I suspect at this point I'm very much in the minority of people who still want to keep holding. But
Yeah, I think he's the
I
most
think
sold player this week, I think.
yeah, because it's obviously just the most frustrating blank. Like he needs to score most weeks to make this worth it. Uh,
Yeah.
because he cost that much. Um,
I would say
it
though,
hasn't.
Siva, I think most serious FPL players are still keeping him. The people selling are mostly casuals, I think.
Nah, man. You this is the one of the maybe the positives, but also one of the negatives of you not being so plugged into Twitter and all this other stuff is unfortunately all the main content creators, all the people who everybody follows, Andy and so on, they've all sold. And so people follow the herd, right? So unfortunately it's
Okay.
not,
Okay.
I wouldn't say it is a casual thing. I think it's permeating into serious people. Again,
Man,
I don't really
I,
care.
I hate that I hate that people are following my template now. Time
Yeah,
for
I
me
mean
to
you are
master
the template.
it.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I'm really not concerned with ownership. I generally don't care how much. I don't check Haaland's ownership. I don't care about his EO. None of those things matter to me. It's just that I watch the games. I feel like this guy is so close to scoring a brace every week that I don't think that's copium. I think it's just things have sort of events have taken place where he's been unlucky, and there's been some bad finishing, but also just mostly unlucky. He's still getting the chances. De
Yeah.
Bruyne's back, and if I've held this long, how can I sell when now the guy who I would assume is the solution to all of their problems. And now is the time when they fix it, and I'm going to miss out on these hauls because I just chickened out at the end.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Let's see, another red arrow for me this week with this guy when he blanks.
Did you get rid
Let's
of
talk.
it this week? You did well,
No,
Siva.
of course.
You
we
scored
we
more
both
points.
get no, we got the same points. We on this pod we only do green arrows. Unlike the rest of your content creators, we have Salah, we captain Salah, and we have all the other guys around them to get points. You, you got to go from Madison, son. So
Oh, I mean he scored. Yeah. In like wow, how many minutes did he play? 8 minutes.
8 minute cameo, and you still got to go. Okay, so
FPL gods are on my side. What can I say?
I feel God's on definitely on your side. But speaking of Madison and that sort of price range of midfielders, we had a question here from FPL Hafiz, good friend of the pod. Is it time for Bruno? And I mean, nice fixtures. Portuguese manager coming in. Bruno Fernandes already back on the score sheet last week. Thanks to Robert Sanchez, but still,
Mm.
we pen goals are still goals. Sam, you texted me the second Ten Hag got sacked to say it's time for Bruno. So I assume you already got him in.
Oh, no, I think that's semi-sarcastic, Siva. I would say wait. I have very low confidence on all United assets right now. Even with a new manager coming in. Now, he may be a good pick, but we don't know for sure, and I'm willing to wait a little bit.
But the issue with waiting is the fixtures are good now. Like if you're gonna go in on United, your window is basically the next three, right? We've got it on the screen now.
Mhm.
Arsenal, Forest, and City from Game Week 14 onwards. You don't want to touch those. So you basically need to go in now for Leicester, Ipswich, and Everton. It's either now or
Do you,
never, if you ask me.
do you need to go in now, though?
You tell me. United fan? Or is it because you're a United fan, you're so
Yeah,
burnt, so pessimistic? This is
I think
what,
that's it,
eighth
bro.
manager since Ferguson and
Yeah,
you.
pretty much exactly like what you said. I just have such low confidence on United assets, even with our manager. I mean, we've gone through so many managers, didn't really make that much of a difference. So yeah, I mean, assets still bad to me. I mean, the same problem still happened against Chelsea, right? Creating chances, can't finish. Like you said, Bruno's goal was somewhat lucky. If that never happened, would you even be discussing Bruno right now? Same problems are
I
still
mean,
there.
any other United, is there, would you feel safer if you went slightly cheaper, maybe Hoyland up top, obviously, or Garnacho? I mean,
Mm,
a lot of United fans seemed very frustrated with Garnacho. At one point, I think Casemiro shouts at him, right? Because he
yeah,
messes up a chance against Chelsea. But he's getting in good positions.
yeah. There's always two sides to a coin, right? So there's one side where it's like he's getting into good positions at least, so that's a positive to be seen. The negative is that he's getting in good positions, but he's wasting all of the chances with bad final product. So two sides to a coin. I still think Garnacho is our most dangerous player, and if there was a United player that I would get, it would be Garnacho. But right now, I just wouldn't get any. Haaland, because I think it's a forward, and there's just so many possible forwards you can get right now. So not too keen on Haaland right now.
You're really not enticed by, I mean, Leicester and Ipswich in particular, right? Let's look at these three fixtures, right? Leicester have been really bad all season. They scraped a point against Ipswich last week. Like last kick of the game, Jordan Ayew scores. By then, Ipswich should have closed the game. Ipswich themselves don't defend very well. And then Everton lost to Southampton. How bad do you have to be to lose to Southampton, mate? Okay.
I have very little faith in United, Siva. So I could be wrong. Bruno could score like 5 goals in the next 3 games. But I don't know. I think it's just you should not ask a United fan this question, Siva. I'm really, really pessimistic on my own team.
I think, as a non United fan, I think Bruno's a very reasonable pick this week. I think these three fixtures are as good as it gets. As long as you've got an exit plan in Game Week 14, I think you can go in. I honestly would consider even Hoyland. I would consider Garnacho. I would even consider Dalo. You can get an attacking defender.
Oh, I will consider United defender. That I will consider. Because United's defense has been quietly solid despite what, I think we talked about it a few weeks back. About how like in the top defender rankings, there are actually a lot of United defenders. It's just, there's people get caught up with the memes and all that. I think they've been solid.
Okay, so United defense you're down with. So if I do Dalo this week, you're cool with that because I'm quite keen, bearing in mind, and of course it's risky because new manager coming in, but Ruben Amorim likes to play with wing backs. Now he did say that he can't do everything he does in Sporting the same way at United, obviously, and you could argue United's probably not built to accommodate that system. But he feels like somebody like Dalo. Maybe I'm oversimplifying the same thing with Bruno, right? But Portuguese guy, Portuguese coach, very attacking, plays for the national team, feels and gets forward, right? So Dalo feels like an interesting pick and the kind of pick that most people won't go for.
Yeah, I agree. There is a bit of yeah, I think the wing backs are a question mark right now for United because we don't really have wing backs. You could play Dalo, could play Mazraoui. Who's gonna be a left wing back? There are talks that maybe he'll push Rashford or Garnacho back. Will he play just invert Dalo as a left wing back? Like there are a lot of question marks when it comes to wing backs. So yeah, I personally am not touching any United player right now.
Okay, so in United is just too uncertain because even if the fixtures are good, the change in manager and the thing is whoever's Van Nistelrooy will take this game and then after that's Amorim for Ipswich and Everton and maybe that is just too uncertain.
Yeah.
And maybe
Plus, switching
Everton.
from playing back four for years and suddenly playing with a back five. How will the defense handle it? Will there be a transition period? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Too much uncertainty for me, Siva. I'm not going near them.
And maybe also you couple with the fact that we've got an international break after 11, so you don't know about injuries, and also couple with the fact that this is a very short fixture run. It's just the next three. So if you don't already own, maybe this isn't long enough to justify a hold because the 14, 15, 16 are really bad. You want to play Arsenal, you don't want to play Forest, and you don't want to play City. You would have
Yeah.
to imagine City by
Both Arsenal and City
16.
away as well. It's like it's pretty much two of the toughest fixtures you could get.
Yeah. And for all Arsenal and City's current problems, you imagine by 14, 15, 16, they'll have fixed that. So maybe again, because I'm sure that the temptation of Bruno, sure it's United fans, sure it's fixture, sure it's new manager hype, but also it is his price. We always think about people based on prices. We hold them up to their price. We like guys because he's 8 million. It sounds really nice. Maybe the right answer here, if you're looking for a midfielder, second in the sticker that we have on the screen right now, Bournemouth, Antoine Semenyo. Surely that's the simple pick that isn't sexy because a lot of people owned and a lot of people sold, right? Because when he started blanking or he didn't return, people just got rid. But back in the goals last week, 10-pointer, man of the match performance against City. like really good, right? That goal especially, so much composure. They play Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, Spurs, Ipswich, West Ham. And if you ask me, would you rather have a Wolves attacker, Wolves are top of the sticker, or Bournemouth attacker? Surely you'd want Bournemouth.
Mm, that depends, I guess. So like for Wolves, I will only consider their forwards. They don't really have any viable midfield picks.
You know,
And for Bournemouth, it's kind of, I consider Semenyo. So it works out well. I guess you could have the both or the best of both worlds. Semenyo in the midfield, Strand Larsen or Cunha as a forward.
I mean, you say that, but I think Evan Nilsson's been picking up recently.
Evan Nisa is an option too as well. He's been good. He's been good. But so has Cunha. I brought in Cunha last week and I'm happy with that. And with the fixture run coming up, I continue to be happy, I think.
So, coming back to my point, right? If you need a midfielder this week, why isn't it Semenyo? Why isn't Semenyo the high pick this week? Why
Oh, yeah, I
why
think he
aren't
should.
people just going?
I
Yeah,
think Semenyo, I think Semenyo would be a really good pick.
yeah, because Semenyo nailed 90 minutes, plays
Mhm.
every week, is talisman, fulcrum of the attack. If they score, he's likely to be involved. And these are unobjectively, these are really good fixtures. Brentford can't defend. I mean, uh, I feel bad for Flecken owners, but that what happened on Monday night, the most objectively funny thing if you don't own Flecken, right? Because he went what at 90 minutes, he had 12 points, and by 96 minutes he had four. Yeah, Brentford just can't defend. I saw that game and Fulham should have scored long before that. So many chances. Brighton, we know their issues. Wolves can't defend. I mean, you saw the Palace game. I'm already regretting Ait Nuri. Like I watched this game and thought, like, "Oh, how stupid do I have to be?" These people give up chances for fun,
No,
and
I mean, I knew it's always been you're not getting any clean sheets. You're just hoping for attacking returns, and by far he's maybe the most attacking defender in the league.
it's true. But Palace came to Wolves with no Eze, no Wharton, and they still had that many chances. It really shouldn't be that easy. And both the goals are basic, like schoolboy set piece kind of errors. So that doesn't
Yeah.
bode well for Wolves defense. But it's great for Bournemouth. Spurs, we know Spurs. Ipswich can't defend. West Ham, if they haven't sacked Lopetegui by game week 16, I'd be surprised. But bottom line, this feels like a almost a no-brainer for Semenyo. And my guess is that he's not as hyped because people just didn't get the returns they wanted earlier, or they bought after all the returns, and so now they're just not interested in going back.
I
Or
really
more
like it, Siva.
likely,
Yeah,
it's a price point thing. To me, he's just too cheap. Like if he was 8 million, they'd pick him over Bruno, but because he's 5 million, let me spend more money
yeah.
and get Bruno.
Maybe. I really like the pick, Siva. I think there is a lack of options in the midfield, the non-premium midfield. So like, I mean, Saka, Salah, Palmer, Son, like all these guys are good. They have been returning. Son maybe a bit less because it's been injured, but the rest of them they've been good. But then you go below, right? Earlier in the season we had Diaz and all these guys, but all of them has kind of fell off. Diaz, yes, I know he's got a hat trick midweek, so he should start. But how long will that last, right? He starts this week, he gets benched next week. You got the Spurs guys. Now Madison kind of lost his place. I need to get Madison out of my team. Got Johnson who scored, but I mean, I think the recent weeks have shown us that Spurs are very, very unreliable. You target them for the easy fixtures and they don't return, and they return, just too inconsistent. So yeah, there's a real lack of midfielders, I would say, right now. Semenyo looks good. I'm happy to go with Semenyo. I may do Madison to Semenyo, but you have convinced me, maybe.
I came prepared today. Okay, Bournemouth kit and all that.
Mm.
Um, because I feel like it's definitely a price point thing, and I think a lot of it has to do because people sold Haaland. They have so much money now, and so I can't be spending 5 million on a midfielder. Whereas I still have Haaland, so I'm still bothered. I mean, people don't have Rogers. I saw people benching Rogers last week, and again, we've how many times have we had to say this? Morgan Rogers is not benchable. He's a starter.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. Are there any other, since we're on midfielders, we spent so much time on mids? Are there any other mids worth looking at?
Not to me.
Yeah,
Every other mid
it is.
just so the midfielders are just really uninspiring right now.
Slim pickings, right? It's funny how things
Yeah.
change. I mean, Salah, obviously, you want to have Salah. I think you want to
Salah is
have Palmer.
crazy, by the way. I think anyone who still does not have Salah, right, is you're playing FPL wrong. Because here's
Ooh,
an asset that in 10 game weeks has only blanked twice. So blank twice, that's 8 weeks of returns. Out of those 8 weeks, one was a 6 pointer, one was a 9 pointer, and the remaining 6 were all double-digit hauls. What more do you want from an FPL asset? Like, what more do you want?
I think the people who don't have Salah, unfortunately, are the people who have
Have
kept
Haaland.
Trent and have kept Haaland and all that. Yeah, so I
I went for
wildcarded to
Diaz
keep
because
both,
they
but
thought, Diaz will be able to cover Salah, that kind of thing.
hey, you mock, but I would love to have Diaz this week
This
because
week. Yeah, but you wouldn't in the past few weeks.
no, but Slot put Diaz up front this week, hat trick, and he said Diaz is my starting guy going forward. Obviously, I mean things can change, but if Luis Diaz keeps starting, tempting again. International break after this, unfortunately, so he'll be on another flight to Barranquilla or I don't know somewhere in Colombia,
Somewhere really
and
far away.
yeah, somewhere really far away. He's gonna get benched for Southampton. Of course, he's gonna get benched for Southampton. Yeah, why am I even discussing this? Okay, so let's move. Yeah, midfield. There's not many other options. Bowen, you're not gonna hold much longer because this team will sack this coach at some point. Um,
But maybe that's the key. That's when you go into Bowen.
yeah, but you wait. Unlike you, I'm not so down on Spurs, but I'm happy that I just own Brandon Johnson. That's the level of investment I'm willing to put in this team because they're so inconsistent.
I think it's one of those like if you went in already, you might as well keep, especially Ipswich coming up.
Yeah.
However, if you were fresh, would you buy a Spurs player right now? I don't know.
Okay, let's explore that, right? Because maybe
Not
not.
entirely convinced.
Hey, let's explore that, right? Because they play Ipswich this week, and I suspect a lot of people will be looking at Sun and Solanke because we're fickle people, and Solanke just
Yeah, just
hauled.
1 week ago, everyone was like, "Oh, Solanke is so bad." Yeah,
Yeah, but those are the Solanke owners, right? Those are the ones who feel like it was going bad. Again, people who didn't own, I didn't own, you didn't own. We didn't really care. It wasn't something. I mean, I wasn't worrying about it. But 2 goals in the last 50 minutes, and Ipswich. Is it tempting to go? I mean, are you allowed to take 1 week punts anymore in this game, or because now we got 5 transfers, you can't do that, and you just gotta ignore Spurs at home against Ipswich?
I mean, I think it is a decent punt. You got Ipswich at home, then City away, which seems hard, but City has been conceding every game, right? Like, not saying they're gonna win the game, but is there a chance that Spurs score? Yeah, I think so. Pretty decent chance. And then you go back to Fulham home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea home, Southampton away. So I mean, not the best fixtures. I say it's really mixed, and it's reflected here in the fixture list. They're right in the middle, so up and down. But I'm okay with Johnson. I'm not too sure about Son though, because his minutes has been severely managed. He came off at 55th minute last weekend. So I'm a bit concerned there. I don't know how long it'll take for him to be able to get up to speed. Yeah. Not happy taking the risk for Sun at this moment right now, despite a great fixture coming up.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is the fact that we are recording this on Thursday morning. They play Galatasaray tonight, Spurs, and I don't think Ange is going to rest or rotate that much. Although it's just the Europa League, because he's still under a little bit of pressure, and Richarlison's out injured, so Solanke probably has to play 90, and then quick turnaround Sunday fixture against Ipswich. I mean, it's one of those, if you own, great, but if you don't own, I'd be tempted to just kind of swerve.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Midfielders are boring, Siva. Let's move away from the midfielders.
Let's talk about forwards, because we did have questions here. Again, FPL Hafiz, but I think this is a question for everybody. Uh, Welbeck or Jao Pedro? Jao Pedro, flags removed. Back in
Black
training.
Rainbow.
I've held this guy for like 6 weeks, just randomly on my bench. I mean, it's all set up for him to come in, come on as a sub and score the winner against City, right?
Yeah, but Welbeck, with his track record that he's done the past few weeks, if I had to pick one right now, like fresh going in, I would pick Welbeck.
It's
Yes,
insane. I mean,
he has a bad fixture this week, against City, but then after that, great fixtures, right? So, and what's the price difference between them now? Welbeck's 5.9. What's Joe Pedro? 5.5.
0.5.
Yeah, so it's
5.4.
not that big. We have money, right? We all saw Haaland. We have money now. I would go Welbeck. He's the third highest scoring forward in the game.
It is actually crazy the fact that, because Welbeck's not a template, definitely not a pick amongst the content creators. So therefore, he's not in.
And here's a stat for you, Siva. He's only blanked 3 times this season in
That's
10 game
insane.
weeks. 6
And the thing
goals,
is,
2 assists.
his minutes are good, right? Like he's playing
Yeah,
constantly 70 plus, 80 plus each week. It's not like as if he's coming off at halftime. It's not as if he's coming off on 60. He's not getting injured. He's not going to go away for the international break because England think they're better than Danny Welbeck. I mean, it doesn't matter. Who cares if he's 32? He should be walking into this England squad, but they'll pick
yeah.
Watkins instead. Um, I mean, yeah.
I will go Danny
I-
Welbeck. In fact, heavily considering Danny Welbeck next week. This feels like too harsh of a jumping in point right now against City. But next week,
Is it
yeah. I mean, you
City?
could argue, City has lost blah 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 3 games in a row, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, it like if I
I'm
were to
just
go in fresh, I wouldn't pick this week. Next week though, looks good. Well,
I'm just saying that City just conceded a hat trick against someone who used to play for Brighton who was not respected. Uh,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But come on, you can't say that he's the same player now and then, right? Like what he's been doing the
I'm
past 2 seasons has been insane.
I'm sure like if Welbeck was watching Gyökeres score the hat trick and thought, Brighton man, he can do it. Me, Danny Welbeck, United legend, Arsenal legend, Preston legend, all the Watford legend, all the other teams he's played. I mean, no reason why Welbeck can't score this week. I think it's one of those if it's I mean, ultimately we are boring people, so it's kind of transfer we won't make this week. We will wait one more week just because we are boring people and we see it's not green on the fixture, so therefore we won't go. But I mean, City have been so poor defensively. What are we waiting for? Conceded 4 midweek. They conceded 2 against Bournemouth. Don't keep clean sheets. Don't look solid. No Rodri. What are we waiting for here?
True, that's true. I concede your point, Siva. I'm gonna bring Welbeck this week. Now, my problem, Siva, is that I really like my forward line. I have Cunha, I have Wood, I have Raul, who has blanked the past 2 weeks since I brought him in after scoring like 5 in a row or something. But I don't want to take out any of them.
And I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't take out Cunha this week. I wouldn't take Raul Jimenez. Yeah, there have been some unlucky blanks, but bottom line, still a very good fixture this week, and I wouldn't get rid of
Definitely not taking out Chris Wood. That's for sure.
Chris Wood, the best forward in the world right now. Why would you take him out? So
Yeah. We have to rename our podcast as the Chris Wood Lovers Club.
I mean, we were Chris Wood lovers before other people. We
Yeah. We loved Wood
and people,
before you guys did.
yeah, we got Wood before everyone else, and people still don't want to get Wood. They feel like the fixtures are too hard, and I mean, people just being soft as far as I can see. No fixture is too hard for Chris Wood. I'm happy to keep. Honestly, this run for Forest, yeah, it looks a bit tricky, right? Newcastle, Arsenal, Ipswich City. I've not even once considered selling Chris Wood. I think the more interesting question is actually, do you invest in Forest defense now, or have you missed the chance? Because all other defenses don't seem to keep clean sheets anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Defense is such a minefield. I wouldn't say it's a minefield now. It's just a barren desert in which no one is doing anything. Um, Forest defenders as well. I mean, yes, they returned this week, but they've had 4 clean sheets this season, which isn't really that good objectively. It's just good compared to everyone else. right?
Yeah, which is good, mate. They're cheap, second best defense in the league. What more do you want?
Yeah, that's true. Although fixture is standing, I don't know how many clean sheets they're gonna keep against Arsenal, City. Yeah, all these teams coming up.
I
But
mean, these.
Forest has been really surprising for us, especially since you were so pessimistic on them, Siva, at the start of the season.
Yeah, I bought the hype. I mean, everyone thought Forest were going down. I listened to too many podcasts, non FPL stuff, and everyone was very negative on Forest. I think even Forest fans were quite negative coming into the season. They didn't sign anybody, and if you think back to the start of the season, it feels like a long time ago. There was a lot of disquiet because they didn't get Nketiah, because they bid for
Mm-hmm.
Nketiah. They missed out on him, and everyone's like, "We're going to the season with Chris Wood. That's it." Of course, well,
Yeah.
Eddie Nketiah,
Hindsight's
7 games
2020.
in, not a single goal. Yeah, hindsight's 2020, right? No goals, no assists for Nketiah, and Chris Wood, meanwhile, best striker in the country.
Yeah. Ballon d'Or form.
Yeah. I mean, if you needed to make a defensive transfer this week, and if I'm being honest with myself, I kind of do because my defense is awful, but I, like you, probably just accept it. Nobody gets clean sheets anyway. You don't even know who's going to get it clean. So why am I wasting time rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic kind of thing?
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. That's a good analogy, Siva. Rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. I like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a matter of time before they all lose their clean sheets anyway. So why bother? But I mean, Ola Aina, very tempting. Yeah, he's not going to score bangers every week. And his explanation for why he scored this week was hilarious. He just said, I was knackered, mate. So I just thought I hit it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah. But even if you leave aside Ola Aina, Alex Moreno, who's we liked at Villa, getting consistent minutes now, good assist this week. Um, Matt Sells has been great. I'm so tempting just to we've liked Milenkovic, who's been unlucky not to score so far.
Mhm.
I mean, if you had a defensive transfer to make, it just feels again Arsenal, Ips, and Newcastle next. It just feels logically again one of those things, right? You just look at the fixtures and you can't bring yourself to do this, even though they probably will get a clean in one of these two.
Agreed. Agreed. I think for us, it's probably like the only defense I wouldn't even use the word target, but could feel somewhat positively towards, you know.
Well, you said United defense, so I guess that is your if you're going in for a defender this week, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
Would
it.
you spend and get Onana, or that's going too far?
I mean, no, honestly, I think Onana is a good pick in FPL this year. Because United have been conceding so many shots, he's been having a lot of saves. So when we do keep clean sheets, and I mean, and it speaks for itself. He's what's he top second in the goalkeeper rankings, only behind Matt Sells, and then Sanchez is third. So I don't know, goalkeeper rankings are weird now. And Pope is fourth, despite all the shit that we give. Newcastle have been playing really bad this year. So who knows what's happening?
I mean, speaking of Newcastle, right? Again, is this? I mean, this is probably a very decent week to go in, right? For us, the way, yeah, okay, it's a fixture they could theoretically. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. I think Isak is an interesting option right now. I'm still not convinced by the defense, but Isak is Isaking right now. You know, so goals back to back. I think Isak could be a cheeky option to go in. Just
the
really
next,
expensive, but
I mean, gaming 12 onwards looks really good for Isaac. And you say the defense is not where you'd go, but I think Lewis Hall. I had him in game week 1, and I'm really annoyed.
finally cemented his place.
Yeah, he's finally getting his just rewards, and I thought he managed Saka very well last week. Um, Still really cheap. Looks nailed, and these are really good fixtures from gaming 12 onwards.
Okay.
And that's probably why you don't go Hoyland, I guess, because Isaac's just a level above, even if he's slightly more expensive.
Yeah. I think Isak's a tasty differential, I would say, right now.
Might have to sell Haaland next week. Don't like this. Okay. Very annoying. Okay, so that's I mean, most of the people. I guess if you are buying a Wolves forward this week, I think this is an interesting question to me anyway, because I don't have a Wolves forward yet.
Has
You
to be
say Cunha
Cunha.
so much, but
I think
Strand
has to be.
Larson cheaper
Trent Larson will
and
get the
outs.
goals here and there, but Cunha is central to the attacking. I think he's the talisman of the team, basically. And to
Yeah,
me,
but
you always want the talisman.
do you really want the guy who runs around a lot and passes to the guy who is going to score, or do you want the guy who scores?
But he's also scoring. Cunha also scores. You know, it's not like he's a pure assister. So he scores, he assists. It's good for bonus points because he's doing so much, right?
Let's sort of break this up. I think one of the reasons why I'm a little wary of Cunha and I feel better about Strand Larson, this is going to sound silly because the prices aren't that far apart, but it is 1 mil. Um, Wolves,
You have Haaland, that's why.
that's part of it. To be fair, when you have Haaland and Salah and Palmer, like I do, funds always tight. So that is one point. I'll concede that. But another point is also Wolves have one win in 20 games. We're in
United.
our we're we're in our FPL bubble, so we don't care. Because none of us are Wolves fans, we don't care about this club. It's a transactional relationship that we have with them. Get them in for a few nice green fixtures, get rid of them. But if you I listened to a few Wolves podcasts this week, and I was surprised by just how much these people hate the club, they hate the owners, and they hate the manager, and they want him sacked yesterday. And that worries me a little bit. I don't think the Wolves owners care about any of this. They've not invested that much in recent times, anyway, I feel, in the club. But the big issue for me is that if they do sack this guy, because 1 win in 20 does sound really bad, you can cut it no matter how hard the fixtures have been. If they sack him next week and the new guy comes in and doesn't like Cunha's face, doesn't like Strand Larson because he's too tall and he's keep looking up to talk to him, I don't know. Could be anything, right? And then you've bought these guys when you had Danny Welbeck right there, nailed 5.9 for a much better team. You had Chris Wood, slightly more expensive for a much better team, also nailed. You had Raul Jimenez, again, I'd say a better team. You had Johan Wissa, also better team. All of these guys, safer picks, better teams, managers who are not likely to get sacked next week. Why are we messing about with Wolves players?
I think it's just the fixtures, right? We're blinded by the fixtures, maybe. And I think those are valid concerns, Siva. But how can you predict when a manager will be sacked or not, right? All you got is what you have in front of you. And I think the fact that they're all kind of similar price points, like, okay, you could bring in a Wolves player, they play against Southampton at home, hopefully some goals there, and then manager gets sacked. Let's say they lose to Southampton, like, I don't know, 4-3 or something like that. He gets sacked in the next week, you can easily just move them off because they're cheap. You can move them to Welbeck, you can move them to whoever it is.
But you're not going to do that, right? You're going to stick it out for these next 6 while a new manager. I mean, I'm speculating, right?
Yeah.
Sure, I'm going into this is almost conspiracy theory like stuff, sure. But you could
But it could
be
be a
stuck
good
with
thing
this guy
too.
for 6 weeks.
It could
Could
be
be
a
a good
good
thing,
thing.
sure.
New manager, they maybe play better, even more goals, maybe. I don't know. All we have is what's in front of us, Siva. We can't worry about what ifs.
I just feel it is when I step back and think about it, and I wondered, because I'd already done the Aitno remove last week, but I stepped back and after the performance this week, and I realized I underestimated and this is the thing about smaller teams, you just don't pay attention to them. And you and I, especially me, I like to think of myself as someone who's got a fairly, like, I watch the Bournemouth versus Brentford games. I care about these small teams in a way that I feel most people don't care. I was surprised by how much the fans really turned when they didn't hold on to the win against Palace. um, so angry. And
Yeah.
once you start sort of digging a bit, there's a realistic chance if they don't beat Southampton, they could sack him because they're kind of running out of, like, opportunities to fix this because the start of the season was so bad. And if a new guy does come in, then everything's up for grabs. And yeah, I take your point. They're cheap. You could transfer them out. But it seems weird when there are so many picks at better teams who are at the same price. Evan Nilsson, better team, same price.
It's true.
Johan
It's true.
Wissa, better team, same price.
I think for me in particular, I have a bit of what's the word, nostalgia for Cunha specifically, which is why I'm not so keen on Strand Larson because he did really well for me last year in FPL before he got his injury. So I feel that there's a quality player there and he will pull through. So I'm happy going with Cunha. I feel honestly, I feel he's too good for Wolves. No offense to Wolves fans. Like he's a player who deserves to be in a better team. So that's why I'm okay to have Cunha. Now, if there was no Cunha and only Strand Larsen, then yeah, I would share your worries, I think. So I think it's a slight biasness on my side. But I get your points. There are a lot of options with forwards this year. If you feel worried about the whole manager situation, yeah, go well back. Go, if you've got the money, go Isak, go Wood, go Muniz, Raul Jimenez. So many options. So that's what makes it exciting. I feel like the forward line is the most exciting. What's it? Division position in FPL this year.
Okay, fair. I think that's kind of wrap up because it's one of those where you're just not going to know the answer for a while.
Yeah.
Last question here from Luke Holloway, and this is probably ties back into Cunha. Who do you captain this week? He wants to ask you to pick between Johnson and Cunha, and I mean,
Are those
oh,
the okay? If I had to pick, it would be Johnson. I think, right? I think Spurs a better team than Wolves. Equally good fixtures, right? Both of them are. So Wolves Southampton at home, Spurs Ipswich at home. Equally good fixtures, but I will go Brennan Johnson if I had to pick between those two.
it's interesting you say that because I own Johnson and I haven't considered captaining him at all.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
if
I
you
mean,
look
if
at
you had to pick between Johnson or Cunha, I'm sure you will go Johnson, right? He would.
well, you have
Yeah.
we have goal scorer odds on the screen right now from Check the Chance, and I've seen people talk about captaining Cunha. It's not a mainstream thing, but there are people who are talking about it. Just because this feels like a week where, on paper at least, and again you got to bear in mind, most people have sold Haaland, and a lot of people don't own Solanke. So, because a lot of people sold Solanke last week before the haul,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
people who don't have either of these guys, they're kind of tempted because they think Salah at home against Villa isn't the easiest fixture. I am fine captaining Salah. I think it's a good fixture for him. Villa were awful yesterday against Bruges. Uh, Tyron Mings, if he's going to keep picking up the ball in the box, I'm happy to keep Salah for that. But I mean, I just don't think Villa are that solid in defense. Just conceded 4 goals last week, so Salah easy cap for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Salah, like I said earlier on, blanked only twice in 10 game weeks. 6 out of those 8 returns were double-digit hauls. Come on. It doesn't get safer than this. I would consider captaining Mbeumo though, who at home. Now I know you don't like this home away thing, Siva, but Mbeumo at home has been really good. He hasn't blanked at home. He's like last season's Gordon, I guess. So I would consider it honestly. At home against Bournemouth, I think it's a cheeky differential. What's annoying though is that I checked. I don't know about your mini league guys, but I checked our mini league, Siva, and more people own Mbeumo in our mini league than Salah. So Salah is a bigger differential of the captain than Mbeumo.
I'm pretty sure that that's the norm everywhere because Mbomo is cheaper, and so people have had him since you. I had him since game week 3. Most people have had him since then, so
Yeah.
I think Mbomo was almost too template at this point. Um,
Yeah, so it's annoying, right? To say I want a captain in Mbeumo, which feels differential, but actually maybe more of a mainstream move than captaining Salah.
he won't. It's not. I don't think he'll be a popular captaincy pick, but definitely a lot of people just own him, so the effect won't feel. It doesn't feel as sexy. My
Yeah.
issue with Mbomo is Brentford really blow hot and cold, and I take
Not
it
at
that they've
home
been
though.
great at
Not at
home.
home. Not at home.
Yeah, and I'm sure the G Tech is a feared fortress for people who don't want to go to a bus stop in the middle of London. I mean, for those who don't know, I mean that's the comment when Brentford first came out. This is not a real team, just a bus stop in London. Like there's a lot of disrespect.
Yeah.
But I don't think Bournemouth is a great fixture. I think it's a fairly decent fixture,
Yeah.
but it isn't. That screams to me like a 50-50 fixture, and Brentford are not a big enough or a consistent enough team that I'm willing to bet on captaincy. I think I'd go Salah. If you don't have Salah, I'd probably gamble on Bruno. I'm surprised Bruno's not on this list. Because
Yeah. Okay.
and after
That's it
Bruno,
for
I'd
me.
say Cunha. But yeah,
Okay.
I
Fair,
think
fair, fair.
okay, so. That's us this week. We try to keep it short. We will see you next week. But in the meantime, Sam.
Get your green arrows, guys, especially if you don't have Haaland and have been enjoying your green arrows the past few weeks. We'll see you next week. Bye.